Welcome to Post Apocalyptic. This is Rob.
This is John.
Month of May, 1980.
Yeah, we're getting deep.
Getting deep. It was a small month for movies. There was Fame, Empire Strikes Back.
What's Fame? Yeah.
The Shining. Just a few of the smaller
right.
films that came out in May.
Wow, The Shining.
Isn't that crazy? I think they were a week apart. It was Empire Strikes Back, and then like the next week was The Shining. Like the most two opposite movies on a marquee at the theater in 1980.
Wow. I don't think I saw Empire. The first one I saw, I think, was Jedi in the theater. But Empire, I didn't know about Star Wars until, friends of mine at school had like the figures. And I was like,
okay.
What is that? And they were like, Star Wars.
Duh. You're like, of course.
Yeah. Exactly.
I think the first one I saw was that I remember seeing Jedi.
Jedi.
In the
Yeah,
theater.
right.
There's a story or rumor going around that I think my sister told me that we went to a drive-in to see Empire, but I don't remember it. I remember seeing Jedi and then saw them all.
Right.
But we're not here to talk about Empire.
We're not here to talk about. We'll talk about driving because that's Shining in a drive-in. Was crazy. And night.
That seems horrifying.
Yeah, it was like, why would you take me to see The Shining?
I'm a kid, for God's sake.
I know.
At a drive-in where you're outside.
And
no. And it's funny to think how much it probably left an impact, but retrospectively, like you think about it, it's like you're seeing it a mediocre way with the worst possible sound.
Yeah.
Like with that little box.
For sure.
When it came on your thing, you're like, no, everyone listen to that side of the car. We're watching The Shining.
Right.
But for this movie, we're watching Carny.
Carny, which is a totally different type of
completely different movie. We are bringing in the clowns with Gary Busey, Jodie Foster.
Oh my God, that duo alone is enough.
Yeah, I think this was like probably number one for most of May, but no one just remembers it.
Right.
And by number one, I think it probably cracked top 10. Maybe. I think it cost $6 million, made $1.
Okay. Well,
I mean, who doesn't want to see a movie about traveling carnies with Gary Busey coming off of Buddy Holly, maybe? I don't remember the order. And then Jodie Foster coming off of Taxi Driver.
Whoa, it's been a while. It's been a while.
So I think we are going to...
and she was 14?
16 in this movie. Gary Busey is in his 30s. Which seems crazy. How is Gary Busey not 20 in this movie? But Gary Busey also, I think, is 80 now.
80 or 100 or 500.
If you see Gary Busey, which maybe we'll put a photo here, he's had better days.
Yeah.
But put on the face paint. Let's go to the Carny.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Ready. Bring in the clowns.
Bring in the clowns.
There we go. Right away.
Right away, Busey putting on the makeup. This isn't even for the movie.
I know.
It's crazy to me to think that he was 35 in this, where, I mean, I know Point Break is much later, but he seemed like he was probably just in his mid to late 30s. And
that's what I thought. Now he looks like he's 400.
Tuberculosis.
Corona.
Well, it is Gary Busey, so probably has the corona. I mean, is this the film?
I know, he's like authentically gone.
Pulls up a bottle of Carny bourbon. He does not look well.
No.
He has corona.
I know.
I kind of want to see this in HD. This looks...
I know.
It's like the best transfer for standard depth.
That's a really good... I mean, the DP is... Really? She's supposed to be 18.
18.
Okay.
So we're okay. Just try not to think about the details at all.
Oh. Okay.
Oh, the Buick Riviera? I had that car.
You did?
Yeah. But in a dark brown.
Nice.
It drives exactly how that looks, like a tank. Now it's David Lynch.
I know, right? Totally. This would totally be David Lynch is like, no.
Yeah, exactly. Could have been longer.
Yep.
Wait, what?
Yeah, that's the only thing.
Oh, all right.
Well, you came in on a dark,
Yeah.
and then a
Uplifting end.
lifting in.
There'd be no way we could get a product placement for something
Right,
like this.
mean,
Oh wait,
you know,
campfire.
that's
That High West. The only way we can really enjoy our films, some High West campfire.
This is little campfire, little Carny.
Little campfire and little Carny. Oh,
Ooh.
just the right amount of smoke.
Yeah.
All right, High West. I don't know. There's something about this.
It's something good about it.
Yeah, there's something real good about that. I have to make that nurse it. All right. So we just watched Carny.
Carny, Carny, the hit film.
Hit film. Really good.
It's really good, and you recognize so many of the actors.
Everyone in it is somebody, down from obviously the lead. Well, Robbie Robertson, who I didn't really know. I mean, he's in a band called The Band.
The Band. It's he's the singer.
And the singer, maybe
not.
Maybe not. Maybe he's just a musician. And then, oddly enough, I think, just doing a little search, he also wrote the music for The Irishman. So he's a composer.
He does it all.
He's still composing music for The Irishman. That's how long The Irishman is. There were a lot of B players that you were like, oh, they were in Good Times, and there was Meg Foster with the blue eyes,
right.
and Tim Thomerson,
right,
who was in Tracer. It seemed like everyone was someone, or background actors was like, oh, that guy.
It's funny. It's just like, Craig T. Nelson as the cop on Stand. It's
exactly.
It's like they become, either background and character actors like a lot of these guys, or maybe leading, men and women in later films in the 80s. So to see, sort of these films, it's interesting to see it touches off these sort of careers. It's like where I thought. I guess I haven't really analyzed where I thought a film like, The Outsiders, just had a bunch of just stars who went on to be huge. There were a lot of films like this that just cast actors, and this happens all the time, but you realize, wow, that person's going to work for the whole decade.
Yeah. Nonstop.
Yeah. And then almost every movie you see, it's it's the same sort of actors, but there's really, really good. So it's not like, well, I've seen this person before. They can sort of fit into their roles, especially the character actors.
Yeah. And I think that's what makes them so good, is they just blend in. You know who they are, but it's so great when you don't know their names.
Thomerson, that was a good pull. I mean,
he was big in the 80s, and that's the only reason. And I think I looked him up. I probably looked him up 6 months ago. Is the only reason I could figure out his name. It's like, oh, that guy.
Right. And then some of the others, I mean, you could put a gun in my, I wouldn't be able to.
No.
But
at least you got to give her the show. Oh, that was JJ's girlfriend in Good Times.
Right, I did. I was like, I remember her character, but I don't. But yeah, it was great, and Jodie Foster.
Well, so normally we have questions, but number one covers acting, the bullet points.
Okay.
Acting, since we're going to talk about acting.
Yeah.
Jodie Foster.
Jodie Foster, I thought it just in this movie, she is great.
Yeah.
The her actual age notwithstanding,
she's
playing 18 and she's really 16.
16.
The thing is, you could see 2,500 girls who are 18, and then throw Jodie Foster in there, and she would outact all of them.
Or it could have even done an 80s thing. We found someone that's 28. They're playing 18. They could have just been a young 28. But
right.
Jodie Foster brings it for a movie on paper that I can't imagine was the most interesting read. I
don't know. I mean, just sort of that, going to her character in Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
And then this, it's just you can sort of read it in a certain way. You think, oh, am I being typecast?
Yeah.
14 and 16
Yeah.
as this sort of,
I'm child prostitute.
Right.
It's like, oh, okay, can I get a different role?
right. I'm sure mom's like, can we do something?
Yeah, exactly.
Is Disney a thing?
Yeah, exactly. the computer that wore tennis shoes,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
Can I get that Kurt Russell career right
Let's
now?
do that. Let's do some of that. But I mean, just her maturity. I think the word you used is just off the charts in this. And immediately you go, oh, she's 16. And I made the comment in the beginning of, wow, she looks 16.
Yeah.
And then once you get into it, you realize, oh, wow, she's really good and really mature.
I mean, she's acting on a different level in this film.
Absolutely. She's great.
Yeah.
I would say she's great in it.
And then, of course, the Buse.
You're talking about going in 1,000, 100, just full throttle. I mean, from the very beginning of him putting on the clown makeup long.
Yeah. Which he did right the second time, but,
Right. He goes in, in his little manic auctioneer style clown over the dunking booth. Great. I mean, also, he does have his tender moments too with the girlfriend who's.
I think he's like in his. He sort of winks when he says he's 25. Yeah. But I don't know if that was a wink to us, the audience, or like.
Well, I mean, she's like, he's like, what's your name? He guesses her name, and I guess her age, and she guesses his age, and she's like 25. Yes, I'm 25. And
right. Like, although he looks. Like, I think Robbie Robertson's actually younger than Gary Busey and looks about 10 years older than Gary Busey. But, as Gary Busey goes, he's always been a good actor. I mean, he's had some issues in the present day, but...
Totally, yeah.
His 100% commitment to being that, but he's also a really good actor. It's not just about him being crazy, because at first when he's dancing around like Bozo and he's shaking and going, you're like... Busey now, but then when he starts acting, you're like, oh, Gary Busey, I forgot you were an actor, like a real actor that soaked up everything. You weren't crazy Gary Busey, or you were, but
right. Well, you kind of think that sort of in these times, where the late 70s, I guess early 80s, no one would tolerate full on Cage Busey sort of just manic. Performances where it's just like Crispin Glover, I'm just going to do whatever I'm going to do, and I'm going to be crazy.
I'm showing up on set this way, and this is what you get.
Are you an actor? Because this is coming out of like, the Scorsese, Coppola, Spielberg 70s. It's like acting is still like a precious commodity. So there's got to be moments. He's got to be able to handle the moments, and say what you will about his sort of moments as the clown, which are completely appropriate because he goes all in. Those moments where he had to be, we had to put on different sort of sides of him. He hits those as well. So
because it shows that he can be the crazy bozo guy, which is just a fraction of his real personality, but. Overall, he's like really charming and likable, and
because in the beginning I thought,
this is it.
We're gonna get just crazy Busey the whole time.
Strap in,
which I
pour some High West campfire whiskey and enjoy. Enjoy some Busey.
Right. I mean, which I was ready to strap in for, but pretty early on you kind of get that that's not going to be.
That was setting the tone of the idea of the movie. And then, and also too, like, Robbie Robertson as Patch, he, once again, I don't know anything about him other than, my wife told me he was in a band, The Band.
The Band. I don't either.
You could tell from his acting that he was carrying the weight of the Carny and everything it involved, like running that whole carnival. You could feel the weight of it. Like, it felt like that was his real job. Like, the way he would walk around and do things and the way he acted really felt like the weight of the whole thing was on him, and he like really exuded that, like, which is hard to do. I mean, this film shouldn't have this good of acting in it. And I think everyone, like, down to him, like, someone who's in a band, like, this movie wouldn't be this movie if you took out any one person.
Yeah, I mean...
Because it's not like, well, I mean, he was okay, you take him, and maybe some of the side people, which, you know, didn't do a lot, but they were just background people. But those three people, like Jodie, Robbie, and Gary...
I think that...
whoever casted that...
he's great,
yeah.
like the whole way through, and you know, I think for me, he didn't really hit a wrong note the whole time. I mean, he was just great, and I think I can have said it better. I mean, yeah, the weight, the whole thing. I think the perfect person to sort of have that role. You felt like he was, you know, I didn't necessarily feel like he was, not ready to take on the whole thing. I felt like he was, like you said, he was already running the thing.
Yeah.
But you know, the fact that, you know, I got all these carnies and I gotta, you know, we have to sustain this business and we have to do what we need to do to move on. But at the same time, you know, I know that, you know, there's some stuff that goes on in this business that's, you know, not, you know, not cool, but it's just a part of it. And you know, he was like well suited for this position.
I mean, and also too, I noticed as the credits were rolling too, is that he also was one of the co-writers of the film. Because I think it was the director. I'm guessing his wife, because it was a female name, maybe it was Debbie. It was Robert Kaylor. That was it. Robert Kaylor and I'm gonna say Debbie Kaylor. I don't know, and I'm probably butchering the names because I'm horrible at names. And Robbie Robertson were story, and then Thomas Baum or something was the screenwriter. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I don't know if this was a Robbie's passion project. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird because the problem is, though, when you start looking into these movies that we're watching, unless there was something major about it, there is very little information on some of these movies we have picked. Like, luckily enough, like with Where the Buffalo Roam, there's going to be a lot because Bill Murray.
Right.
Gary Busey had a big career. This is just such a small movie that, like, you look at the trivia and it goes, Jodie Foster was 16 and Gary Busey was 35. And you're like, any other noteworthy, there's nothing. Then you go to Wikipedia and it gives you, like, the plot and reception. And you're like, oh, wow, there's nothing about this movie. This movie cost like $6 million to make, made I think $1.5 million, maybe 1.8 or something, and then just went away, just like a lot of movies do. Yeah. It didn't stand the test of time.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, I think that'd probably be the case with a good amount of, you know, movies in the 80s. But you look at them and, like this one, they're actually really good. Right,
which brings us to number 2, the look of the film.
Well, the look of the film, you know, it's a, you know, ASC cinematographer. So as soon as I see the ASC initials, I immediately think, okay, it is going to be shot well. This was shot, I thought, incredibly well.
It looked amazing, and the only way available right now is standard def. So we didn't even have an HD, and the standard def looked amazing.
Standard def was great. I mean, this in HD would look.
Yeah, you want to see, like, did someone going to take the time? They probably won't. Get a Blu-ray transfer of this movie. This movie could play now.
We should start a campaign to
get
the 4K.
Hi West. How would you like to go in partnership with us on our? But yeah, like you were saying, you see that and you're like, okay, they got a cinematographer, a director that I'll put stats up. I don't think he had really done much, but it looked like. They all look like movies. They shot really well.
This shot really well. It definitely shot really well. I mean, I was just sort of looking at it for that and see sort of the lighting sort of schemes that cinematographer put forth, and it's really great stuff where you just think, like you said, the acting is a little better than it should be. Mm-hmm. The cinematography is definitely better than it should be, and that just sort of makes it great. I mean, you get I mean, you can put Jodie Foster, Gary Busey, and Robbie Robertson in these roles and have it be sort of half, look half as good, and still be drawn in because, I mean, good acting is good acting, but, you know, I think it all sort of really took me back to sort of those 80s.
Yeah.
I could see me looking, I've never seen this movie, but I can see me looking at this on like the movie channel or HBO or whatever and going, okay, yeah, this is that type of movie, and I kind of feel like it's a movie, like you said, like it's a whole story, like it's a full meal, so to speak.
Yeah, the acting, it wasn't how some things are. It's like the look didn't carry the movie, the directing didn't carry the movie, and the acting didn't carry the movie. Where it shot less, the acting would have carried the movie, but it all really did. Somehow they really did find a really good balance. Like, it shouldn't have looked this good. And there's some janky stuff outside, like, like some of the carnival stuff, like when they started doing some B-roll, the carnival didn't quite match, but that's
some of the
but
things, some of the what sort of issues I have with movies in the 70s and the 80s is it's a bit too dark for me, and they sort of let certain people's faces, like especially people of color, they sort of let their faces sort of go out, and that happened in a couple of these scenes too.
Right.
But I just chalk that up to the time.
Yeah.
I sort of extrapolate that into real life and going, wow, was it that dark in real life? Would I walk out and not be able to see him? I'm like, I'm glad I did. This is like, represent real life. I don't think, it's like that.
We didn't have HD eyeballs, apparently.
Right. I know. And it's like, I mean, technically, I guess we would have more lights out now.
Yeah.
Because,
right.
I mean, 40 years.
Yeah.
So we got more lights and all that.
Yeah, this movie's 40 years old. I know we're doing this series, and I know we're in 1980. 80 was 40 years ago.
Yeah.
This movie does not feel 40 years old. I don't know really what that means anymore, but this movie does not feel 40 years old.
But the talent behind it is so good, and that's what makes it great.
Yeah.
And for someone to like a good cinematographer has good knowledge of film stocks and different things that sort of make it better. It's like if you watch Apocalypse Now, because Storaro was amazing, and he really, really, really was into film stocks, and how to sort of really work with the lab to make sure that things were exposed correctly.
Okay.
That movie does not look like it was shot on any 70s stock. It doesn't feel. It does. It just feels like this is the richest. Even today, I mean, I would think that it was richer than anything shot today, even on like the highest resolution, video that we have now. But it's just it's all in the cinematographer. It's all in the photographer.
Well, yeah, because I think now this film would look glossier. You're not counting on how it would be, not like the stock or
totally.
But they would definitely make the carnival look a little more. But I think he did a great job because it wasn't bright. It kind of shows that they are just a dirt traveling carnival. That the lights are just the lights, the light bulbs on the stand, the lights on the ride, and that was it. There's no other light at this carnival.
And I think it works for this movie, but I also think they did have enough light to highlight our mains and to really make me feel like, okay, I want to watch this. If this were in 1973 and the budget was like $200K, then I mean, I wouldn't be able to see anybody in this movie.
They actually shoot with a light bulb?
It'd be like Dolomite.
The third question is just like cash grab or art. Obviously, there's no cash grab in this movie. But this movie was made for art's sake? Or do you think they had another story in mind? Because it's weird because you watch it it's not someone trying to make an artistic tale of the carnival, but they're also not making a film for everyone. It's like, it definitely feels like a personal project.
Yeah, I mean, it's a personal project, and I think that just coming out of the 70s, those sort of personal projects were big. And, you know, so I think this is sort of the outgrowth of the 70s movies, sort of land you Carny. Well, I think that there's some commercial things about this movie, but, you know, in terms of cash grab or art, you know, having to choose one, I would definitely choose art, not just because I didn't think it was a cash grab, so that it's art, but because I think that there were some very artistic things about it. I thought that they humanized, you know, the people in the carnival. I mean, everyone from top down, and I thought that was sort of consistent throughout, and so. You know, just trying to really hone in on these relationships, between, you know, the Busey character, Jodie Foster's character, the Robbie Robertson, who just in himself, like, you could just tell, like, he had that weight. Like we always said, he just looked tired, and I thought, I don't know if he was stoned or what, but just,
like, is either the best actor or he is the most tired actor. And
tired.
Like, was he touring with his band and then shooting on the weekends?
Right.
Like, I mean, that's how tired he looked.
And if so, then that worked. Because,
kudos.
Because, you know, like you said, you really felt the weight of everything, and I think that went a long way. Just looking in his eyes, you know, and to see where. It was just like a lot of times it was glossed over, tired, bloodshot, just you know, just existing.
Yeah.
But I think the art of it was just in the characters, in the actors, and sort of humanizing these people. This is what I like about a lot of these sort of movies that, you know, you're sort of given, I guess, in the 80s. In the 70s and 60s, they're sort of giving them time to exist and breathe and live, and for us to watch them. Like, if you
the pace.
If you were to give the script to a studio today, they wouldn't make it, just because it's like, well, where are the you know, where the explosions, where the whatever. But if you just say, like, it's really three characters, and
it's a human piece,
and they're sort of you know, and it's really interesting, you know, and they are great, so you just want to watch them. You know, I think there's a lot of art in that, so I think that's what I would say.
They gave someone $6 million to make this movie. That's amazing to me.
It's a lot of money back then.
Who is this movie for? It's 1980.
I mean, I would say adults, but, you know, say when your wife Ange watched it, she wasn't, like, you know.
Yeah, she said she watched it on the movie channel, so let's say came out 80, 83.
Yeah,
she's not. She was way too young to be watching this movie as much as she should.
Yeah, and so she's watching it, and she's not watching it just because, nothing else to do. She liked it because I liked it. You liked it, so there's something about it that I think does appeal. To, you know, a younger audience, but there's some things, like you said.
It's an R movie, and this is not made for a 10-year-old kid.
No, but I think it's just, you know, younger adults, I would say. And not that, you know, people of a certain age couldn't watch it, but I think sort of younger adults would sort of watch this sort of movie. That's what I think.
No, I agree. This definitely wasn't geared towards anyone. Not in a mean way. It wasn't like, hey, we're going after the teens because, you know, we have Carny. It's like, it just felt like someone wanted to make a movie, and they're like, hey, let the audience. I'd be curious of what people, once again, it's hard to find any information, like what people thought of this, because we're viewing it through a completely different lens now. Like, we're watching it going, wow, for art's sake and acting, this is, you know, really well done. But, like, May of 1980 were people going into it. The people our age going into it, our age now, probably like, oh, this is no, John Wayne. Like they're probably looking at these actors like, these kids.
They may be more critical of it, but you just look at, I don't know, sometimes I look at stuff I was critical of, back then, and I look at it now, I'm like, oh, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
But even the stuff you're critical of had a certain standard.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could say something about Jodie Foster, but like looking at her performance, I don't think you really can deny how great she is in this.
Right. No, I mean, she is, you get why she's Jodie Foster.
Yeah.
Like, you watch this, you're like, oh, Taxi Driver wasn't a fluke. And I'm sure she did something in between, and I'll have to look it up. But, like, it's not like you sit there going, oh, Scorsese knew, and, the casting, like, he really brought out this character.
Yeah.
But, she was just as good in this.
She's really, she brings it, and it's just like, you look at it and you're like, wow, this is a star.
Yeah.
And this is a, young adult. And you're like, wait, no, she's not a young, she's 16.
Yeah, exactly. She barely has a driver's license in this.
And she just eats that scene. I mean, it's just, wow. I mean, she's great.
I'd be curious if, like, you'd have to have seen it, but it's like who was up for Best Actress? And I'm not saying this is the best performance, but within this movie, she is chewing scenery. You feel everything. It's such a bizarre movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's all just like this acting, and it's like an acting clinic. You want people to show this in school, like as a student.
Yeah.
Acting. Here you go. This may seem weird, but just watch it. There's a lot of nuanced performances in this.
Yeah.
And even from all the extras in the background, like everyone.
Well, I mean, the extras and the background folks, the character actors, the supporting cast. I mean, in their own right, these are really good actors.
Yeah.
So it's like,
how do they get these?
You're not getting like bargain basement actors.
No.
These are really, really accomplished, really good.
Probably the only bargain basement actor was the guy towards the end with the white hat. Like he was putting on a character.
Yeah.
I would say I'll say the mayor of the city. He wasn't the mayor, but like that. Like, I mean, there was just something about like the way he would look and just like drink, and
he was
still good, but he was probably the only one that was acting.
Right.
Like, oh, I have a character for you, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, the other guys were just comfortable in their characters, and they knew exactly. I mean, they've just, probably outside of this, they're, a lot of these people like Shakespearean actors who are just like, okay, you got a supporting role. And you do the best you can with it, but you can actually obviously tell they're really good.
And no one phoned it in at all.
No. I just don't think you could. There's a lot of times you say, hey John, we're gonna watch a movie called Carny, and I'm gonna go, oh, okay. And then that movie's made in 2020. I'm gonna go, yep, pretty much what I thought.
Yeah.
This movie, I go, let's see, and I go, wow, that was really good.
Well, especially it starts off with Busey putting on the clown makeup, and you're like, oh, is this what this film's gonna be?
Yeah.
And it becomes something completely different. Like,
totally.
You're like, oh, this is just a slice of life. And I get it, they did the whole clown makeup thing probably to run credits. They just wanted...
Yeah, exactly.
Look, you have 5 minutes. We're running credits while you do this.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, number 5, is this timeless?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think mostly just because of, you gotta go back to the acting.
Yeah.
And I don't think the story is necessarily something that will go out of...
Right.
Is out of reach for anyone. Carnivals, still exist today, but,
I mean, minus the weird sex show going
on. The weird sex show,
we're just going to push that away and not probably talk about that very much, but...
I mean, I think, maybe that's what the mandate of some of the studios, like, hey, that's got to have some sex into it. And that's kind of how sometimes some of them did. They were like, put some sex in it.
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna have the 16-year-old dress up sexy while someone naked dances. Okay, might wanna.
Right. It's like.
But I think that's what's funny is we can go back to the timeless thing is we watched this movie without knowing anything. We didn't have IMDb growing up, so we didn't know. We watch a movie. There's like, okay, great. They're either 16, 18, 25, or like Grease, they're all 42 playing teenagers. It just seems creepy now, but if we watched the film at the time, oh, she's 18 and, she's going to be a sexy dancer. All right. But going into it, wait, she was 6. Oh. Right. Well, this movie's much more creepy. We didn't know at the time. And there's no saying yes or no, right or wrong, but it's just like, it's weird to know things now.
Totally.
I miss going into movies not knowing anything.
Well, I think that's probably the best way to go in.
Although I would have probably thought about it going, how old was Jodie Foster? Like, I probably would have thought about
the
that.
first couple of shots or scenes, though, I'm like, she's
16.
Even though you told me,
yeah,
I'm like, she looks 16. Because if she's 16, but she really looks 18, 19.
Yeah.
You still go, well, she's 16, but wow, she actually looks.
Yeah, dude. I wouldn't have never. I see why they cast her. They needed someone that towed the line a little bit.
But I thought she grew into the role, though.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I didn't feel 16 after a while. I didn't feel like she was.
No, and it wasn't even. I think, like, her age really was kind of. It's what we're putting on it because of our society now. But, like, her being 18 or 19 in the movie, really, I thought we were going to go into some sort of backstory of her joining. Like, I think that's what was interesting about this movie that kind of makes it timeless is that they don't grab her. This is a moment.
Yeah. Like,
this is just like, okay, she wants to join the carnival. She does. No real consequences. There's no one, like, I was like, oh, her parents are going to come after her. No. Like, it's just about this. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, and the movie really is about, in a way, it's about these sort of misfits who are trying to find, their own way in life. And I think that's how she feels. And she feels sort of a kinship to them. And so she's sort of joining, a quote-unquote family.
Yeah.
Because she feels some sort of connection to them.
Yeah.
We're kind of like watching a family dynamic sort of in this weird world sort of play out before our eyes, and things are colorful and things are strange because of the nature of the Carny world. But I think it's sort of played, for the most part, it's played straight.
Yeah.
And so we can really get into these people, and what everybody wants is to have security and family and love and all of that. And I think that's sort of what carries it through, what will make it timeless, because that this whole sort of thing was a huge hit in The Greatest Showman. And it's like it's just like people can identify with being sort of on the cusp of something at 18 and just going with it and just feeling like you need something else and you need to find yourself or whatever. I don't know what maybe that's what she was doing. So I think that's her story, and then there's the Busey story of trying to find his own way as well. There's a lot of weight on Robertson's shoulders. So it's just like there's sort of a lot going on here, and I think the timelessness of it, will not burn out just because it's like this stuff, these things go on today and it'll keep going on. So that's it.
No, I mean, that's absolutely right, and there are no right or wrong answers. So John, you win. Have some of this,
especially with
High West. We're going to do that every time. Yeah, I think that's what really works in this film is that, like you were saying now, if you were to make this film, there would be zany antics. There would be, the carnival life, they're zany and they come to town and, wreak havoc. I'm sure there's a comedy version of this movie somewhere in the 80s.
Totally.
Where they're like, they're wreaking havoc and they're doing all this. But it really wasn't about, wreaking havoc in a town. These were just people's lives. And they were just like, all right, this is all we can do. Yeah, we're sort of on our own, but we still have responsibilities. We still have to set up breakdown, which they didn't really focus on. It was just sort of they drove to town. That was their plan. They did their thing, and then they left. But you could see like maybe what the tail end of it was coming, even though we still have them, is that they have to pay off officials because it's like, oh, you don't want to have sanitation come down here, and just everyone trying to get their piece of the pie,
right?
And it's like you could kind of see that maybe that's what was going to be the slow demise, as opposed to just we're coming to town, because that one guy, the actor guy, was just like, well, I already have a brothel in town, and I have a games, and you're taking my money away, and it's like, yeah, for 4 days.
Yeah, exactly.
But everyone's just trying to get their hand out, and it's just sort of like maybe I'm sure you could probably film Stu Nick on, it's the way of the end of the Carter going into the Reagan with the hand, and you're like,
right,
nerd.
Yeah.
And the filmmakers, yes.
That's exactly what we did.
Exactly what we're going for.
Yeah.
So, would you vault it or view it?
View it, for sure.
100% view it.
Absolutely.
I want people to see this film.
Absolutely.
I mean, just to don't go into it going, oh my God, you recommended the most amazing film. Just watch it. It's a watcher. That's all it is. You just kind of watch it.
There's different things for different people, but like I said, the acting, I mean, just Jodie Foster, watching her 16, 18, 25, whatever, at whatever age, she just brings it.
Yeah.
And just and I say her, Gary Busey is very good, Robertson is excellent.
Yeah.
But her, because she's like a budding star. Like this is her very young, but she's already got it.
Yeah. She gets what acting is and understands looks and timings and moments, and I guess it's one thing I'll be curious to how this translates, but that is almost something we miss now, because the ones that really stick out, it's like, oh, that was really good. We don't see a lot of films that are acting, but you look at the lot that came out in May, like I said, Fame, solid film, Shining, of course, Empire, the other film was The Long Riders, which I imagine was it's Walter Hill and nothing but acting in it. This film, and there was one other one that wasn't available, which would have been on our list as well, but 100% all movies with solid acting, they just sort of didn't click. I mean, I get why this film sort of just disappeared, like when you're coming in with that May slot, Empire stays at the theater for a year. Yeah. And then now we're going to roll into June, which is summer movies. I could see this movie just sort of, going the way of the Carny, plays a couple days and, is out.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. And, I'm glad this is an environment that would nurture a film like this. So, and it would, it made a million, which I don't know what that translates to today, but,
right.
It still, I think, was worthwhile. I mean, it's this, I mean, it's a really good movie.
It's one of those things where it's like, I'm happy we're doing this just to see this. I wouldn't have.
Right, me neither.
I might have looked up Gary Busey and saw it, clicked it, and went, oh, he did a movie with Jodie Foster, and never watch it. Never think about even watching it. I mean, it's, I would say so far, as much as I really did enjoy Where the Buffalo Roam, because it was just weird, this might be my favorite so far.
Mine, definitely.
Month 5 in, this was like acting school, acting clinic,
Definitely, for sure. Because it's that movie that just felt like a journey, like a whole movie. It wasn't like, where you had Serial, which had some good moments, but it had some, questionable things, and certain things were disjointed. Where the Buffalo Roam, I think that had some really good stuff in it too, but it just didn't gel as a story to me. Don't answer. What's it? Don't answer the phone. Don't answer the phone. Don't answer the phone. That. Yeah. I mean, I liked it, but but this one, I just felt like it had a lot of different things in it.
And it feels like now we're getting into, even though we're still at the late 70s, I feel like we're getting into the 80s now.
Yeah.
Like I feel
for sure.
feel like we're starting to like inch our way into what the 80s are going to become.
Right.
I mean, even like you said with Serial, it was disjointed, but you saw what...
Oh, totally.
It's like,
totally.
Okay, this is what we're going to do. And Where the Buffalo Roam, that's kind of like its own little slice of something, but it felt very 80s as well.
Totally.
You know? Any final thoughts?
Yeah, overall, I mean, I thought it was it's really good, really sort of good character work. It was really good to see, obviously, main actors were great, but just to see those supporting cast sort of peppered through who, you know, you go, oh, yeah, him, her, and they're all really, really good. Yeah. So you just felt like, okay, we're going to be okay because all of these people are really good too. Yeah. This did remind me of a movie that I really liked. I hadn't seen probably since the 80s, but I watched it on Movie Channel or whatever probably 50 times, which is Bronco Billy. And it's like played straight. For
that was almost a choice. Last month, I think.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because it's the 80s. It's 1980.
Oh, my God. I didn't see it in 19, but... Yeah. I didn't realize that. Yeah. But yeah, it's, wow, it was that close. Yeah. Together. But it was sort of moving from town to town kind of thing, and the family and the little romance, and the acting was really good, and you had, I think Scatman Crothers was in that.
Just owning the 80s.
Just owning the 80s. And so you had that, and I really liked it. And at that age, whatever age I saw it, I liked it. Mm-hmm. I can tell you why I liked it, but I liked it. But I mean, now I know. It's the same reason why I would like this. Yeah. You know? And I think the reason why you like it is because, for the most part, it's played straight. Yeah. You know, and you really, they really respect, you know, these characters as real human people, not this like crazy carnies or anything like that. It's
they could have went so many ways with this film, and it was a straightforward story. They didn't mid-80s this movie, right? Which would have been
let's spin it out into some zany.
Yeah, you got this crazy guy and this crazy guy, and they go to town and wreak havoc and boobs. Yeah, you know.
And then Burt Young comes. Wait, what?
I almost said it's like Clint Howard is in there, and you know, which would have made it better, but you know,
right. So I mean, overall, I mean, I think it's. I'm glad we saw it.
Very happy. Yes. Once again, I also very pleased we saw it, and you know, it's like I think you're gonna remember this movie, or I'll remember this movie more for just the look and the acting. I won't necessarily probably always remember exact story. Like I know, but because they travel, it didn't need to be. It was just a slice of life. Yeah. And I think that's what I really enjoyed about it. Yeah. As much as I enjoy.
Ooh, yes.
High West. Oh, hold on, I should get really close for this one. Yeah. High West 3D. Campfire. It's almost as good as High West. Almost.
Heat up the screen, man.
Let's see. Get it on the good camera. Get it on John's face. Oh. Now you're out of focus and the bottle's in focus.
As it should be.
As it should be in life. Thank you for joining us on May 1980 with Carny.
Carny.
Not a bad title. Actually, probably the one title that fits. Where the Buffalo Roam was just all about because the book of the title and then title of the song. But Carny's the first one that isn't a terrible title.
Exactly. And I'm glad it's not. I thought it was going to be a biopic of Art Carny. Yeah. So I'm glad it's not.
I would have watched. You know? But join us next time for June 1980. Like, subscribe, follow, comment, website, all those things.
Mention, do all the things.
Do everything you want to do.
Smash the button, as they say.
Smash buttons. Watch Carny. Tell us what you think.
Yes.
Or watch the trailer and go, what's wrong with you guys?
Or both.
Yeah, because the trailer's a little creepy. But watch it. Yeah. Thank you again, and until next time, this has been Post Apocalyptic Show. This is Rob.
This is John.
Take it easy.
Take it easy.